This tutorial is about creating a rectangular array, otherwise known as a rectangular pattern. Okay. This will be essential to know in the case of creating an ellipse using the rectangle method, or for that matter, creating the rectangle method of the, creating a parabola using the rectangle method. Okay. So either way, we're going to look at just the basics of creating the rectangular pattern for the rectangle method of using an ellipse. So what I'm going to start off with is a box. Okay, so I'm going to create a rectangle right off the bat. Mine that I'm starting with is 16 by 32. So I'm going to finish up those other lines. If you need to, go ahead and stop and create your own. Okay. All right. So I've now got my rectangular box. Halfway in the middle here, I would also have a line, halfway down. If I've got my settings right, as we should now be able to do without having to bisect this line, I can find the midpoint. So I'm just going to make a line that's along the midpoint. Make sure that follows exactly. It should light up on the other side. When we get there. Okay, so I've got my midpoint line. I should have a center line here as well. So again, same thing from the top. Midpoint straight down. Okay, I've broken it up into these 4 different sections. Now I'm going to use one of my other colors. So you need to have at least 1, if not 2, different layers. I'm going to choose red, and I'm going to start making my lines. So what I need to do is have particular lines, okay, that go along here, identifying 8 points, 1, 2, 3 on this side, okay, and then 3, 2, 1 on this side. I don't have to number them per se, but I do want to have those numbers. Ultimately, though, at the end, I need to have a certain number of points that go across, okay, so I can identify where they need to be. So I'm going to come down here and create a line here. It's red. All right. Doesn't really matter exactly where it is specifically, just as long as I can identify. I'm going to make mine a little bit longer, up just a little bit. Again, this doesn't matter how far that is, just that I have this red line right here. So now I'm going to make a rectangular array. Now I have to come up here to under Modify, in the Modify section of our ribbon, and click on a rectangular array. So it's going to change here. And I'm going to choose the whole piece. I'm going to choose these 2 objects, okay, that I want to make a rectangular pattern. Now in this case, I'm only going to make 1 row with a bunch of different columns. Remember, rows come out horizontally, columns come down vertically. So it's essential that you remember that. Okay, so I've selected my objects. Now I right click. Notice how it also comes up to the top here, identifying what I'm doing. And as I just said, I only want 1 row with a certain number of columns. So notice that it's already started identifying that. So 1 row, columns. I'm going to work within this. I'm going to work within my columns. Okay. And what I can do is that my total, I know, has to be a certain distance. I have made that 32, so I'm going to make total distance of 32. Okay. But notice how there's also the in-between portion that I have to identify. There's a little fx, okay, so I can actually do an equation within that. I know that I need 8 within that area of 32, so that means between each one I need to have 4, okay, between this certain distance of 32. So now, nope, it's not allowing me right now. So let's try that again. 32 divided by backslash 8. 8 here. Okay, so now this is how we need to have it laid out. So 32. All right, so 8, 4. Right at the end of this. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit. 8, 4. I keep battling with this. I can pull this out without making more to the end point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we know that if we start the endpoint, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We actually need 9 of them across. So I got 9, 4, 32. So if I had 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, counting the ends, 3 in between, that's where I have to go. So 9, 4, 32 is actually the number that I have to work out. Okay, so 9 columns counting the ends. Alright, so that's how we do it linearly here. Now if we wanted to add columns, top and bottom, okay, so on this case we need to actually add them on the sides as well. That's a little more complicated because we're going to have 2 columns at a certain distance away. So I'm going to click enter, and then I'm going to create another array. But in this case I have to actually create a line above here. Doing the same idea, I'm going to use red again. Okay, doesn't really matter in this case. I could actually make that green, okay, to differentiate between the two. So now I'm going to create a green one along the same lines, rectangular array, and okay, so I've selected my object. Notice how it wants to go in a different direction. I'm going up instead. So up in this case is positive, down is negative. Now I don't want that many, okay? That's my endpoint there. I do want to go all the way across, although I only want 2 columns. I need a column here and a column along this edge here. So I've got 2 columns that I need. The total distance in this case wants to be all the way across. Okay. I am still stuck to my distance here. So between each, okay, the total distance here, as we know, is 32. So for my columns, I'm going to have 2 at 32. But I need a different number, okay, in between. So my rows has to change. So now I have to adjust my rows to be, and again, remember what I messed up before was 9. I want the total distance to be all the way across, okay, negative 16. I don't want that, I want 9 though. Okay, the distance in between though is going to be negative 4. Total distance for my rows, again, wants to be, as you can see on this, if we zoom in, let's try to adjust that. Okay, and again, it always takes a little bit. 2, negative 2 instead. Alright, there, we should have it now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, this one would be the 9th one. Really, we're looking for 3 in between. Okay, so we got it. Okay, click enter, lock it in, enter again. Okay, escape. I have my number. Okay, I have this set up now for my rectangle method for creating this part. Alright, although a little convoluted, please make sure that you end up with the same. If you do get stuck, please ask for help.